May 27, 1997. The date would forever be etched into the memories of the people of Jarrell, Texas. It was a peaceful day in the high plains when a tornado was spotted for the first time. A photographer captured the storm's ominous form. Little did anyone know that in just 8 minutes, 27 lives would be lost in its wake. As early as the days leading up to that fateful day, the Storm Prediction Center, SPC, had issued a forecast warning. The region surrounding Jarrell, Texas, was put under a moderate risk for thunderstorms, with the possibility of a few tornadoes. However, nothing seemed overly alarming to locals or even meteorologists. In fact, this type of weather was typical for the area. Thunderstorms, sure, but tornadoes, unlikely, or so everyone thought. By the morning of May 27th, the skies over Jarrell were a clear, tranquil blue. The residents of this quiet town went about their day without a care, unaware of the danger that was already brewing. It was only as noon approached that the calm facade began to crack. Storms had started to appear to the northeast. Strong, yes, but tornadoes. Still a low chance, but the atmosphere had other plans. Unbeknownst to the meteorologists who had predicted mild weather disturbances, subtle fluctuations in the atmosphere began to occur. To the untrained eye, these fluctuations seemed insignificant. However, with the right combination of elements in place, these tiny changes could ignite something catastrophic. And that's exactly what happened. At first, just one storm started to dominate, forming in the northeast near Waco, Texas. Then, in an unusual turn of events, the storm began to shift, moving toward the southwest. This was highly irregular. Tornadoes and thunderstorms typically moved in the opposite direction. But this strange movement would prove deadly, placing the unsuspecting residents of Jarrell directly in the path of what was about to become one of the most powerful tornadoes in history. 1 o'clock CDT. The first signs of danger appeared. A small funnel cloud dipped from the sky near Moody, Texas. The tornado hovered momentarily above a mobile home before touching down, destroying it in an instant, only to dissipate right after. But this was just the beginning. Over the next couple of hours, one tornado after another dropped down from the supercell. They appeared almost beautiful, graceful in their descent from the sky, but none of them were particularly strong. 5 miles northeast of Jarrell, things would soon change. It was now 3 o'clock, and the atmosphere was growing more volatile. A strange stillness took over as a new funnel cloud appeared, needle-thin but deadly. It seemed small, almost unremarkable at first. But this tornado was deceptive. Within its narrow form, the winds were ferocious, shredding everything in its path. Hay bales, trees, anything unfortunate enough to be within its reach was obliterated in an instant. As the tornado continued to gain strength, it approached a small community called Perry, where a farmstead became its next victim. The tornado gathered more debris, now cloaked in swirling dust, splintered wood, and sharp metal fragments. The residents of nearby Jarrell breathed a sigh of relief as the tornado weakened and disappeared. But this was only the eye of the storm, Mother Nature's cruel trick. Within moments, a new tornado began to form, even more dangerous than the last. Dust churned in a furious cone-shaped funnel. And then, something strange happened. Multiple funnels began to appear, creating the distinct and terrifying image of a multi-vortex tornado. This wasn't just any tornado. This was a monster. At Carroll Farm Supply, a man named Scott Beckwith listened to the weather radio when he heard the words, "Tornado in Jarrell." Stepping outside, he spotted the massive twister in the distance, a snake slithering ominously through the sky. Without hesitation, Scott grabbed his camera and began snapping photos, documenting a storm that looked straight out of a nightmare. The first few pictures were mesmerizing, a twister dancing in the sky. But as Scott continued to photograph, something even more terrifying unfolded. The tornado grew in size, gathering more dust and debris. Soon, the twister was almost unrecognizable, its narrow form now a sprawling vortex of destruction. And then, the most infamous photograph was taken, the one that would later become known as the image of a dead man walking tornado. The swirling, tangled vortices looked like legs in motion, giving the tornado a haunting human-like appearance. The name, Dead Man Walking, was a chilling foreshadowing of the death and destruction that would soon unfold. As the tornado moved closer to Jarrell, it became clear that no one was safe. As the tornado reached full strength, it began to tear the ground apart. Cotton fields were ripped up, leaving behind exposed bedrock 18 inches below the surface. The scarring of the land was a testament to the unimaginable power of this tornado. A herd of cows stood in the path of the storm. The sheer force of the wind, combined with the sharp debris picked up by the tornado, created a sandblasting effect. The cows were literally skinned by the storm, their hides ripped off by the violent winds, leaving some exposed down to the bone. It was a horrific scene, one that no human should ever witness. As the tornado approached Jarrell, it struck its first home. The storm shelter, thought to be a safe haven, was no match for the storm's fury. Its 5-inch thick concrete roof was torn away and flung into the distance, never to be seen again. Fortunately, the family inside had evacuated. The tornado's path of destruction continued, hitting a farm on County Road 308. Everything in its way was obliterated: barns, silos, homes, all reduced to rubble. Miraculously, there were no fatalities here either. But not for long. The tornado began to darken, its funnel growing wider, now swallowing up everything in its path. By the time it reached Jarrell, it was unstoppable. In mere minutes, the tornado walked into the town, obliterating everything in its path. Houses were reduced to kindling, cars were tossed like toys, and lives were shattered. In total, 27 people lost their lives in one of the deadliest tornadoes ever to strike Texas. This wasn't just a storm. It was a force of nature. Unpredictable, unstoppable, and terrifying. May 27, 1997, will always be remembered as the day when Jarrell, Texas, faced the full wrath of a tornado that could only be described as deadly beauty.